Not only is it go time here in Sunday morning, here on Sunday morning, look at us just crushing it already. Not only is it here go time on Sunday morning to hit the drafts, it is go time for best ball season. We are hitting on all cylinders. Camp news is coming out. Positional battles are happening. We're seeing people that are dropping passes like QJ, but he's still fine. We're going to talk about a lot of that and more. We're going to draft on drafters. Let's just get right into it since we botched that open.
Three, two, one. Liftoff.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. We got Red Psych in here. We got JP in here. We are going to be drafting over on drafters. Red Psych, hit the thumbs up. I probably should have tweeted out the show. I forgot to. Maybe we'll do that real quick. Maybe I'll knock out a tweet as we start talking about this best ball season. As I said, it is technically the crucible of best ball season where just news is flying in. We're trying to account for positions on every single team, following injury news, some injury news that was already apparent that we didn't know about. Joe Mixon down in Houston, what's going on down there? Yeah, it is a wild time. This is when people start jumping in drafts. So if you are drafting, we have a lot to navigate. We're going to start to navigate that over on drafters. Let me just tweet this out so that more people join. And yeah, we're just navigating the waters as I try to navigate tweeting, talking, streaming, all the fun stuff. So I am much like you, trying to take it all in, trying to figure out where we're going with all of this. What's going on, K Sizzle? What's going on, Marie? Al Boogie. Good morning. Good morning, C Crowder. It's snipe season, he says. I'm gonna push back on it being snipe season. Like, yes, we have stuff that we want to do, but we are not entitled to any players. If you really wanted that player, generally you had a chance to take him at an earlier point. So it's not snipe season, it's get your guy season, is what I would say. So if you're looking to get your guys, that is the time to do it. What's going on, Best Ball on Call? So let's go ahead. Let's jump into a drafters draft here. We're gonna jump in the lobby, and it looks like this is almost half full. We're going to jump into the $20 tournament. We need 5 more. So if you're looking to join, now is the time. We will only be doing one draft today. I am heading out right after this to go to a convention in Rhode Island. So I'll be in Providence. City of Dreams, they say. I don't know who. Billy says that the DK streets have been fun. DK is good as well. I think all 3 sites are pretty strong this year for the most part. I think they all have their own strengths and weaknesses for sure. As we go through this, good morning, Kevin. Everybody's jumping in here. Morning, Tyler. What's going on, Ema? So, yeah, we're going to start talking about some of this camp news, and I think it is also a good time to humble ourselves a little bit when we're drafting teams in April and May, and we're drafting players because they are the obvious backup to other players when we don't know the positional battles for sure. We get humbled sometimes, and I think that's happening in Chicago. I think there's some other places that's happening. Yeah, we have to be humility time is my favorite, as Emo Cowboy says. But sometimes people don't actually do that, including myself, for sure. Sometimes I know better than the teams, than the coaching staff, and it's to our detriment usually, is what I will say. We get the 102 in this draft. We have seen Justin Jefferson fallen because of a bit of a small hamstring injury. I'm not overly concerned about it. I think it's fine, but because I haven't gotten a lot of 102s on drafters, Justin Jefferson is a guy that I've been a little bit underweight on. So maybe we'll grab him here, and we'll make sure that we grab some sort of unique pairing with Justin Jefferson. This is funny verse here. He says he checked his pre-draft stuff, stumbled into 6 rosters with both Quinshawn and Sampson out of 135 out of 135 teams. So that's funny because I quickly looked through some of my pre-draft stuff here on Drafters today, and I did have one of those as well. Yeah, and speaking of the camp news, as the Mad Bowler says, he got Jefferson at the 7 spot yesterday. I got Jefferson at the 7 or 8 the other day as well. So if you are looking to get your Jefferson exposure, this is the time to do it. He's falling in some rooms, like heavily. So it is, I mean, from all indications, it's overly minor. It's nothing that seems concerning. I'm not worried about it. So this could be the time to get your Justin Jefferson exposure if that's something that you're looking to do. And it is something that I'm looking to do. And I'm sure Beekoff will go with Jamar Chase. This is his 5th draft. He might not have even gotten a 101 yet. So he'll probably be chomping at the bit to get Jamar Chase, as is expected and as I would be as well. And he goes Chase. Let's just go Jefferson. We will grab Jefferson immediately. Actually, I should have hit that quick. I wanted to check my CeeDee Lamb exposure because I like CeeDee Lamb and I feel like I'm underweight. I probably am not. I'm probably making that up. That is pretty funny. So Sampson's pre-draft price is where he's going now. I've been getting Sampson at reasonable prices lately, like reasonable to the situation now. It feels like usually get him like right at the top of the draft board. So I've enjoyed that. That is something that I'm into. But yeah, we're going to be using our little handy dandy tool here to tell us our exposures and stuff. Why don't I break down what I have showing on the screen? The first number is my tourney percentage. Second number is with my quarterback 1. My third number is going to be with Justin Jefferson, my 1st round pick. 4th number will be with whoever my 2nd round pick is. And then the percentage of that player with the round 1 or round 2 pick. So like these guys like Brian Thomas, we're seeing like 0%. There's like 1% out there of teams that have Justin Jefferson and Devon Achane, 1% that have AJ Brown and Justin Jefferson. And if those guys, if Jefferson's falls to the 7, you might be able to start to squeeze. But when you get to Ladd McConkey, that's where you see he's 3%, so severely underweight still. But then it jumps up to 18% with Garrett Wilson. So that's how we can see what the pairing ownership is. I like to get a little funky in these early rounds. So that's what I like to do. We're going to try to do that. You can see Sir Pre gets a fun combination here. Pulls up Bowers to the 111, gets Ladd McConkey, which is not what a lot of people are doing. So that's a fun combo right there. Philly says that he needs to be more aggressive on Jameson Williams. He's hard to get for him. Your percentage is way too low. I agree. I don't have a lot of Jameson Williams. I bet my percentage is dreadfully low. He's just around a lot of guys that I like. When I say dreadfully low, I have 0%. So take it as you will. Could it be wrong? Sure. Especially on drafters, I'm just not as worried about JMO. Like I prefer JMO on tournament formats for myself. Anyone I've been trying to get more of based off camp news from the first week? I know the answer is yes, and I am just drawing a blank as we go through the names. I'm sure it'll become more apparent to me. We're about to be on the clock here, and I want to make sure that we get some sort of unique team here. But I don't want to make sure that I'm doing it at the detriment of just like getting players that 23% of Jefferson with Bucky, huh? Tyreek's at 10. I don't want Tyreek. Let's do a common pairing. And then let's get funky. So let's do Trey McBride because I want to make sure I'm up on Trey McBride. I don't have him with Jefferson at all yet. So not unique, fairly common to get Jefferson with McBride. But I want to make sure I'm getting my McBride exposure overweight to begin with, so I'm going to be moving him around and trying to get more Bowers. It's a little bit tough with the second rounder because I want a ton of AJ Brown and Ladd McConkey as well. But I think if we do this and see what Beeclough does here. God, it's really tough not to take Taylor here. Ooh. Lamar Jackson is 2% with both Jefferson and Trey McBride. As much as I would like to take Jonathan Taylor here, oh God, it's such a, like, I'm not even a Jonathan Taylor guy, but there's just certain falls that I want to get him. Let's do it. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this again, and I think I can get Jefferson McBride in the future, and then I can just do Lamar with them later. But now I know in my head that I am definitely going to try to get a Jefferson McBride Lamar team in the future. That is something that I want. So we didn't get as unique as I usually like to, but I think that we had an opportunity here to get a team that's decent, and we'll go from there. God, who are players that I want to get more of now? They're out there. They are out there for sure. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with the Houston backfield. Do I just want to take Marks? I've been taking some Nick Chubb here and there. Like, I'm not going overweight on Nick Chubb. I've been doing that. Chris is trying to get overweight on Justin Fields because of what happened there, and that's fair. All right, so we got Jefferson, we got McBride, we got Jonathan Taylor. Sort of spreading our resources here. Really would have been nice to get Lamar, but I think occasionally you just have to do what the room gives you on occasion. And if that's what they're going to give me, then we'll take it and we'll figure it out from there. I don't have a ton of Taylor exposure. That is on purpose. And if I'm going to have 4% Jonathan Taylor, it's because I want them to be when he's falling or when I can get a very unique situation with him. Versaire says Ibuka is a solid target right now. I thought he was. I think he's moving up quite a bit to a range where there was probably a 5-day window where Ibuka was like an automatic click for me in the past week. So this is a good point to bring up, but his movement, and I'm part of the problem. I'm wearing the hot dog suit, but he's gotten to a range where he's going around other guys that I like as well now. So he's not an auto click for me, but I still like taking Ibuka a ton. So yeah, Pickens is. So you say that you've seen Pickens fall in your rooms. I've seen him go early quite a bit. So he is a guy that I'm not underweight. I'm like right at field with him, that I do want more of. But I've been seeing him go. And this particular room, it feels like he's going to go early. We have two builds here that I actually do want to talk about in a second. And I'll explain why I want to talk about it as we get to it. And looking at some of our opponent combination data. See, there goes Pickens right there. I had a feeling he was going to jump off the board, which is fine. Like, I want Pickens, but he's not someone I have to have. All right, see what Markey does here. He goes with Daniels. We're going to grab Devonta Smith. And that's the problem why I don't have a ton of JMO, as I just would rather Devonta Smith. So we're going to take Devonta Smith here. And we're going to wait for our second pick in this range. And if he comes back to us, maybe this is a JMO team. We'll figure it out from there. Calvin Ridley could be a good pick here. We see that Zay and all these other guys are kind of going at the same clip. I'm underweight Calvin Ridley, so So if I'm going to get Calvin Ridley, it might as well be when he's projecting 3% ownership with Justin Jefferson. Maybe that's something that we do here, get our team a little more unique. And he's also only projected 5% with Trey McBride. So we can grab Calvin Ridley in a range of wide receivers that are just sort of relatively normal. And although I like JMO, like for this team, he is 13 and 12% owned. So I think Calvin Ridley is just a better fit for this particular team. Gets our team a little bit more unique. Our third wide receiver is technically the number one on Tennessee from all indications. And I think that is something that I'd rather do here. So again, I won't be overweight Calvin Ridley, but it is I'm picking my spots with him. And I think this was a great spot to pick for this team. What I wanted to talk about with these two teams in particular, when we were looking at the data a few weeks ago with elite quarterbacks, we noticed that a lot of the first round running backs, when they went a first round running back, and especially if they went heavy, like with 2 of the first 4 picks being RB, the amount of times that they were doing that with Lamar Jackson or Josh Daniels, I think a lesser extent was Jaden Daniels, but Hurts was one of them, that it was heavy exposure. So these builds were doing it heavily with an elite quarterback. So when I'm grabbing the early running backs, I'm huge into elite quarterback this year, but my pivot is generally either away from the elite quarterbacks or to build the hero RB teams with the quarterback a little bit more, because we've seen, and I'll have to go back and check because it's been a few weeks if that's changed at all, but we saw that this was kind of a standard build, like with elite quarterbacks. So you saw a lot of Lamar, a lot of Josh Allen, a lot of Jaden Daniels and Hurts teams with heavy emphasis on running backs early, and then sort of punting off wide receiver. And so I kind of want to do the antithesis of that, right? I want to make sure if I'm getting elite quarterback, I'm doing it with 0 RB builds, hero RB builds, and sometimes mixing that all around. So hopefully that makes sense as we go through it. And Versier says another auto click is Diggs. Yeah, I was heavy on Diggs, and then I sort of cooled, and then now I'm back to just drafting him. I mean, he's out there doing everything he's supposed to do. He's clearly going to be wide receiver 1. I think that's a great situation that you bring up, though. We're learning a lot quickly about the wide receivers here in New England. It seems like it's going to be Diggs, it's Pop Douglas, it's Kyle Williams, it's Butte, and then it's just sort of, I think a lot of guys are going to get cut off this team. So not a standard team for me here, but we're fine with it. We got Jefferson, McBride, Jonathan Taylor, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley. It sets us up for a bunch of fun stuff coming up. We have our elite tight end. So I draft Caleb Johnson pretty heavily with these other guys. I'm thinking that's who I want here, though. Let's do something. Let's grab Golden here. So let's grab Matthew Golden. See Addison go. And then we see Mahomes go to Beekoff here. And we're just going to set up and get this Green Bay double here. So we got Jefferson, we got Devonta Smith, we got Calvin Ridley, we got Golden and Reed. We set up for that Green Bay double. So we can either grab Jordan Love, but it's not the end of the world if we don't. I think it's just a double that not a lot of people get is that Golden Reed one. How far has Joe Mixon fallen for me? So I already wasn't drafting Joe Mixon. He's pretty low for me. I have 2% Joe Mixon right now. I think he's undraftable now. Like, he's going to have to fall to a range that's just absurd for me to take him, because it looks like he is now going to miss all of the offseason going into the regular season. And I don't think Mixon is good enough for his job to be secure. Like, he's fine. We thought that he was a fine player. Like, he's a fine, like, 7th round pick, 6th round pick, wherever he was going. But now he's not, because we were sort of counting on early season production from him. That was sort of the appeal for him, was at least he'll be there in the early season. Now he might not be. I know Nick Chubb is probably washed, but can Nick Chubb give you what Joe Mixon gave you last year? Maybe, if he's back fully this year. And then if Woody Marks does anything, why would you take him off the field when Mixon's healthy? So I think there's too many variables, and I already wasn't really on him to begin with. So when that's the case, I think it's easy to just move on from Joe Mixon at this point in time. So that's where I'm at with the Joe Mixon news. Speaking of camp stuff, so here's the guy that I've been wanting to target more. I want more Tank Bigsby. Not that I don't have a good bag of Tank Bigsby already, but I think from the camp news, the way that the Jaguars are running that backfield, I feel I've played it very strongly. That's one thing that I'm very happy about, is my exposure to the Jaguars backfield, where I faded Travis Etienne and I've been taking Tootin and Tank Bigsby. I think I just want to make sure I'm grabbing Tank Bigsby at a high clip. I want Tootin as well. I'm not saying I don't want him, but just the way that rotation's been going, and every time I read about the Jaguars backfield, I feel like it's Bigsby's name that I'm reading. So give me Bigsby where he's going right now. I think that's an easy smash. I just don't know how you do anything else. And I have to get my brain into taking Amarian Hampton in the 3rd round, because he's starting to be a player that I lose track of based on just the movement of him. But I still think he is an insanely great 3rd round pick. My brain just needs to remember to look for him. Sometimes I just kind of overlook him. So I need to make sure I'm not doing that. Yeah, I think, but for me, we already love the Jaguars here at Spike Week. All of us have really been in on that team. For me, that is the guy I want more of. So as you see, like, Travis Etienne's at the top of the list here. I'm just not that interested in him. A lot of my Kyler teams are with let's do this. Let's grab J.K. Dobbins here. To go with Taylor. See, Etienne gets scooped up there. I don't have a Kyler team with Justin Jefferson, so I can still do it. Round 9. It's probably fine. Just make sure there's nothing else I want to do here. Let's grab Kyler. We can do it. We can do the Kyler McBride stack. But now that I've done it again, it's on my conscience that like when I grab McBride to maybe not attach him as much as I have to Kyler Murray and just play him as a one-off a little bit more. So that is something that I am putting into my mind state for this Drafters tournament, because I like McBride as a standalone. Not that I don't like Kyler Murray, but I don't want to force myself into Kyler Murray McBride stacks every time. I'd like to mix McBride as a one-off with some other stacks as well. So my brain has now just seared into it that when I take McBride, I think I'm just sort of Xing Murray out of my player pool for the foreseeable future. And maybe I'll just play Murray through Marvin Harrison at this point in time. That's an individual thing. That's just based on my portfolio. It's not an overall take. So I think that's things that we need to balance on our own as we're going through, is like looking at our portfolio, understanding what our portfolio is telling us, and not leaning into it when you want to. There are certain situations that I heavily want to lean into, that I want to do stuff where I'm like, well, I want this combo of players because they're just players that I want a ton of to begin with. So that's not one of them for me, though. Like, I don't want all of my McBride teams tied to Kyler. Just don't. So I need to, for me personally, get that down a bit. So I was already leaning into wanting to take more McBride, and now I just sort of have a pathway on how I want to do it. Like, that's another lever that I don't have to pull in the future. So that's where we are at with that. We cannot talk today, which is good because I'm just going to walk around a convention later, so I don't have to talk to a lot of people. Don't have a booth there. What other camp news? I'm keeping an eye on this Giants situation and trying to find out that a little bit more. And what was the wide receiver situation I was trying to look a little more into today that I wasn't getting the info that I wanted? Well, that I could find. I was looking for certain info. We got Kincaid pulled up to the 10th here, which is not even from the... It's an interesting pull-up. All right, see Tracy go. Spears on board here. I don't have Ramondre, although I'm like 13% and a little bit overweight. I don't have him with either of my quarterbacks or first couple picks. I don't have Tyjae Spears with them either. I think I'm just going to do Ramondre, though. I think he makes the most sense here. And let's set this up well for this turn. And Beekoff scared me for a second. I thought he was going to do the Kraft Jordan Love tap, which, you know, is what it is. If I really wanted Kraft, if I really wanted Love, I could have taken him in the 10th here and then pushed the running back. But we still get Jordan Love for this double. And that finishes us at quarterback. So we get Kyler Murray with Trey McBride. We get Jordan Love with Matthew Golden and Jaden Reed. Team so far is Murray and Love with Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Ramondre Stevenson, Justin Jefferson, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley, Matthew Golden, and Jaden Reed. So 2, 3, 5, 1 at the moment. So that is where we are doing. Yeah, Spears would have been fine. But again, if I took Spears, I might have pushed quarterback there to stack with Cam Ward, which is also fine. I think the way I wanted to play it, though, was I just wanted that Love double. So I think that Stevenson or Tyjae Spears there, it's a coin flip. Who do you like better? And I think Stevenson edges it out a little bit for me. So I'm just going to grab Stevenson there for that particular team. But now that I have that combo, if I were to get something similar to this again, I'd lean Spears. So I'm not weighted heavily one or the other, is what I'm saying overall. So we are done at QB here. We get that Golden Reed double. That is relatively uncommon just because we're Golden and Reed are going right next to each other. You kind of have to make it happen. And it's something that I've been cognizant of, where the conversation has been Golden or Reed, and my answer is Reed, but both. Reed, but both. So that is where the team is at the moment. We do see the red wedding happening here. The quarterback. Although, interestingly enough, not one quarterback was taken around 10. That's got to be some sort of record. But they are flying off the board now. And that's the other great part of taking Love there, is we know that there's going to be a bunch of quarterbacks taken afterwards. So it allows us to still get a relatively good pick here in round 12. Pushes all the other players. So we like that. And I sort of have a particular thing I want to do with the 12th or 13th round. I know which way I want to go. We'll see if we are allowed it. Oh, why do I have my name showing? Gross. Not on the small windows. I like that Gotham has found his way to just chill on camera while we're drafting on Sunday mornings. Let's look through some of this. Who were the wide receivers I was trying to remember earlier? God damn. Why can't I remember? I was looking at something and I was trying to find out some news on a certain team, and now my mind has gone blank. We do lose out on Trey Benson, which is sad news. Really would have liked Benson. Relatively, he's my most drafted player. Would have worked well with this Arizona stack, but alas, we move on. We overcome, we adapt. All of the fun things. I am trying to get my Garendo ownership up just a tick. Part of my bet against CMC is to have Garendo, so let's do that. Oh, I didn't even notice the other player I wanted here was I wanted to get Likely as my second tight end, but that he goes right before us here. Likely is my favorite tight end target in this range, and it's not even close. I think Likely is probably going to be one of the guys that we noticed was overly mispriced. So Likely was my target to take a second tight end and just shut it down. But that's fine. I think that we can go wide receiver here or running back. And I don't love many of the running backs here, so I think I'm just going to take Pat Bryant. We don't have him at all with Kyler or Trey McBride, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's get Pat Bryant on this team to go with a 2-4-6-1 at the moment. I thought Likely just would have supercharged our tight end room, which I'm fine with doing. But when we miss out on him, I don't need to grab Kyle Pitts or Jake Ferguson or Dallas Goedert. I can still take some upside swings later. We're definitely done at quarterback, so now I can either take one or two upside swings with Trey McBride. I noticed that chat was quiet, so I wonder if there's something going on with YouTube. It wouldn't shock me. Usually the chat's flying a little bit more than this. So won't be shocked if there's a YouTube issue. You're probably not the only one, is what I will say. Should be back tomorrow night with Eric. I don't know what we'll be drafting, but something. Just drafting a hot route. In regards to who? I've already forgot who we were talking about. Oh, I did want to see the Denver wide receiver. Situation unfolding. The Rams situation is interesting with the Matthew Stafford stuff. I mean, he's up there in age. We want him out there to make that offense work. I'm still going to take Puka some, but a little nervous about that Rams passing attack. I mean, they have the coaching staff to make it work and to insulate their players and all that fun stuff, but I don't know. That's an interesting one. I haven't really looked into the Seattle camp at all, other than Arroyo. Arroyo is supposedly catching every pass thrown his way. That's something we've been seeing. Gotcha. Oh, the hot route on DraftKings. Gotcha. I thought you were saying I was just drafting a hot route player, and I'm just like, who's a hot route player? No, we're not doing Jalen right when we have 40% of him with Kyler. Perhaps Braylon Allen? Yeah, let's grab Braylon Allen. I think that seems fine. It's pretty gross in this range. Pretty gross. We're not grabbing Roshan Johnson. Speaking of guys that we were probably wrong about overall. God, why do I have... Because I don't have a lot of Justin Jefferson. Let's grab Diami. Where did Tank go in this draft? I'm curious. So Tank went in the 13th round. So we could have grabbed Tank. I'm fine that we didn't. It's like, okay. But got to be cognizant that Tank is going 13th. I think it still would have been Garendo or Tank with Pat Bryant for me on those turns. Perhaps Tank is a better pick than Garendo. So I think, like, right now, if these prices stay the same, 3 out of 4 times I want to grab Bigsby over Garendo. We'll just count this as the 4th time. Clicked 4 kids. That's got to be... We're going to have to look into that. That's got to be some sort of setting that maybe Eric messed up, because that's not a setting on StreamYard. I will have to dig into that and see if that is something that he did. Shoot him a message after this. Very strange. Very strange. Actually going to send that note now before I forget to, because that is important. Thank you for catching that. Who was that? Deludo. Yeah, no, I know how to adjust it. I just I don't make changes to the channel unless I have access to, but it's not my channel, so I try to respect that a little bit. I'm assuming it's a mistake. I can't imagine it not being a mistake. Okay, that should be all fixed. That should be all fixed. Thank you for catching that, Deludo. That is massive. So cheers. I owe you a drink. owe you a drink. We are getting into the end of the draft. Ooh, do we do something fun? I think we're gonna. I think what we're gonna do here is get sniped on Marshawn Lloyd, which is fine. Not a huge deal. Should have had a backup plan ready though. I will say that. Do we want Justice Hill on this team? Yeah, that does give us another guy that can get some points early. And I think he's totally fine. I don't know if you guys caught the coach speak on that backfield. And what do we have for wide receivers? We have 7. So let's go ahead and let's grab Rashard Smith as well, who we are significantly overweight on. But what's funny is we don't have him with Kyler or McBride. So let's get a Rashard Smith team here. We're 2771 at the moment. We have 3 picks left. It's in YouTube Studio. What was the Ravens talk? I didn't do much Ravens talk. I talked about Likely, who I think is just over. Oh, the Ravens talk in regards to the running back. So they were talking about Keaton Mitchell, and they said that basically he's going to have to fight to get on the field. They said that their touches are pretty much Derrick Henry, Justice Hill. And not that Keaton Mitchell won't make the team and that he's not going to have some opportunity, but like every opportunity he gets, he's going to have to fight for, basically. So it sounds like, according to the Ravens, the way that they are hoping to run the offense is pretty much like they ran it last year. You're going to have a ton of Derrick Henry. Justice Hill is going to get his time on the field. If they're behind in games, I assume that you're going to see a lot more Justice Hill than you will in general. And that tells me like Keaton Mitchell is draftable, but from the perspective that he is just a handcuff, which is kind of what we were thinking already, right? And I think it keeps Justice Hill's standalone value. Like, because Justice Hill has that role. And this is all stuff we've said before, but it sort of was confirmed by the coaches this week. So that's what we're looking at. But Keaton Mitchell goes in the range that's what we're looking for there anyways. For the most part, we're not really looking to, we're looking for players with huge upside, and some of that upside occasionally includes injury risk. And Keaton Mitchell is going where? He's got to be... He just went. Like, literally just went as we're talking about him. He won the 18th round. So, like, that's fine. But just understanding the depth chart on the team, it's like, we know what Derrick Henry's role is, obviously. We know Justice Hill's role. They're telling us that everything that we thought about that backfield is correct in this instance. Not correct in every instance of every team, but we know what the pecking order is. We know who's going to play in what situations. So with that being the case and them saying stuff like that, Justice Hill is like one of those players that I don't think he fits on every single team, but he fits on enough teams that he is a guy that can get you some points. If he doesn't fit on any team, this might be the team he maybe didn't fit on. But we're building it a little bit out. We're building it out a little bit more to make him make a little more sense on this team with Braylon Allen and Rashard Smith and Garendo. So I think he's fine. I think he middles this team probably in a correct way. Usually I want him with more upside plays. But I think I'm close enough on this team that it's like, it's fine. Do you see Monunga go? And we're going to be on the clock here. I think we're good with our 7 running backs, so having Jonathan Taylor. I think that this is going to be a good time to take, one more wide out, maybe. Let's get another tight end first. I do want more Jatavian Sanders, and I think we might build this as a 3 tight end room. And if that is the case, I'm trying to get my Gatson exposure up, trying to make sure that my Harold Fannin exposure is up as well. And we're trying, when I'm grabbing Ferguson, Gatson, and Fannin back here, it's to just kind of completely supercharge the tight end room, where we already have Trey McBride, and then we're taking Jatavian Sanders as like a flyer, and then we're trying to hit the nuts with one of these rookie tight ends. And let's do Gatson, because I want to make sure that I'm not just taking Gatson on Herbert teams, which I am doing quite a bit. We're already at 10% on Fannin. We're at 11% on Ferguson. Let's get Gatson here in the 19th. I think, like, I don't need Gatson, but I think I've built this team in a way that I have sort of this luxury pick. And we're just going to shoot for extreme upside at that 1Z position. We're not grabbing another quarterback. We can allocate 3 tight end spots, and we're still going to have probably 8 wide receivers on this team. Most likely. There's a running back that we might take. AD Mitchell sounds like, I have a lot of AD Mitchell, and it sounds like he's not having a good camp right now overall. So I don't know if you guys have heard that news, but the AD Mitchell camp news has not been great. It gets tough when I start talking about AD Mitchell, and we were talking about Keaton Mitchell. But I don't think he's hard to keep off the field, because I think it's just he's hard to get on the field, just because of the way that they play the game. Like, I liked Keaton Mitchell, and we want his explosiveness back, and he was a monster. But you're trying to displace Derrick Henry, who the only way he gets displaced is usually by game script. So if you mean like in terms of like a couple snaps a game, sure. But unless Derrick Henry is just complete dust, they're not going to give Keaton Mitchell a job over him. And they're not a team that we're expecting to not be competing for a playoff spot. So if they're not competing for a playoff spot, that means that Lamar probably went down early, and they're just trying to keep it together with duct tape. And then maybe they sit Henry. So we're looking for a Henry injury for Keaton Mitchell. I think he's fine. I think he's a fine pick. I'm not talking anybody out of him. I think we just know what the bet is for him now. Like, we already kind of knew what the bet was, and I think camp has sort of solidified what that bet is. And he's a fine pick. I like him. I think you should be taking him. But just understand why you're taking him. Right? That's what we're trying to do with camp news, is we're trying to understand why we're taking players the way that we are, and should we be moving them around. So that's all I'm saying, is I think that all 3 of the Ravens backs are fine, but you know what you're doing it for. Well, that's the thing. Well, he'll be in a split with Justice Hill. I think that Keaton Mitchell can come in and take a lot of the rushing work. You might see a game or two where Justice Hill gets more work than they want him to, but then they're just like, all right, let's just lean a bit more on Keaton Mitchell for the rushing aspect. We're going to be on the clock here in a second. We do have Troy Franklin starred. Just see if there's anyone else we want to grab here in regards to this team. Maybe we'll grab Tesla. I kind of want to stay at around 8% Tesla. I don't want to go nuts with them, but I want to make sure I have them. Let's do it. We'll grab Tesla. So the final team is Kyler Murray and Jordan Love at quarterback. We got Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Ramondre Stevenson, Isaac Guerrero, Braylon Allen, Justice Hill, and Brashard Smith at running back. Justin Jefferson, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, Pat Bryant, De'Ami Brown, Isaac Tesla at wide receiver, Trey McBride, Jatavion Sanders, Aronde Gatson at tight end. And we got that Arizona stack with McBride and Kyler Murray, the Jordan Love double with Reed and Matthew Golden. I think that when you're doing tight ends, if you're going to do 3 with McBride, the way that I generally like to do it is with upside stuff. I think Jatavion Sanders has an upside case, so that's why I did it with him. A lot of times, if I'm doing Trey McBride, it's going to be with 2 of those rookie tight ends that we were looking at. I mean, Arroyo you can throw in there as well. He's a little bit more expensive. But if I'm taking upside shots, I have Trey McBride. I don't want Hunter Henry or, Chig. Definitely don't want Zach Ertz or Jonnu Smith or Cade Otton. I'm just shooting for upside at that point. I drafted a stud tight end. So that's what I'm trying to do with the tight end field. It has been my pleasure to do this draft with you guys here on Sunday morning. I will catch you guys next week for another Sunday Sickos. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Hit the subscribe button. We do this pretty much every day between myself and Eric now. You might be seeing a couple more draft streams pop up on different nights here and there with me. Starting to think about doing that, but make sure you're subscribed so that you can do all that. We will catch you guys next time. Peace. Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.